This is Alan for Primordial. We are in New York to play TVI. That's what we're doing here. The idea that we started the band when we were 15 or 16 years old, and I'm standing here, or sitting here 34, 5 years later in New York talking to you. So the idea that we're in New York is not lost on us. So it's nothing, you take nothing for granted, and you just have to try and just pour every part of you that's left into whatever's on the stage, leave it all on the stage. And I don't want to be the band after a certain amount of time. People go, they're okay now, but you should have seen them 15 years ago. Like, I don't like that idea. So you have to try and still keep your tools sharp or whatever. I just think it's as simple as, say what you mean and mean what you say, I guess, and if you can't stand on a stage in New York and sing Coffin Ships with conviction and some passion, then, you should quit. Thankfully, Primordial isn't fantasy. So how would I get him? How would I plug myself into the mainframe, or whatever you want to call it, to be, for the strange metaphor, to be excited about singing about things that don't matter. So for the drop in the ocean that it is now in 2025, to be singing about something that means something, you have to take that with the intention that it was meant and worth at the same time. So, and also the fact that Primordial, has always considered itself to be a continuation of a great Irish artistic tradition, whether anybody thinks that's a bullshit answer or not. So, the idea that I would go on stage and phone it in would be a disgrace or a shame. So, if you sing about things that have cultural weight and value, it's yourself you have to answer to if you don't do it with your intent. And some nights, it works better than others, but that should be the nature, the moral and intellectual division between art and entertainment. Primordial is art. It can be entertaining, but it's not entertainment.
Let's go! Raise your fist!
The difference between Primordial and a lot of black metal bands is that Primordial is not about it's not about it being exclusionary to the people who are in the audience, because to me that's a complicated and clumsy contradiction, in that we want to play a gig in front of you, but we're going to be alien to the people in the crowd. And of course you have a bit of hooliganism, a little bit of rabble-rousing, but it's a sense of communion between everybody that's in the room and everything that's outside the room. So that's very important to stress, and it's not just the lyrics. It's when you hear, would hope when people hear Primordial, they hear the historical weight, and if you've ever been to Ireland or been to the West or something like this, it feels sodden, earthy, stormy, tempestuous, melancholic, triumphant, all of the things our history has. But it's not meant to be. Primordial's not a history lesson. There's no, in the year 1845 this happened. So you should travel around the world and sing Coffin Ships, and if you're standing in the audience and don't understand English, you get it, this is heavy, and you feel the weight. And so that was always my intention, to make the music, shouldn't exclude anybody. Should be open for anybody to tap into the reservoir of pain or tyranny or sadness or being triumphant, or all those kind of things that are the turmoil of being alive in this world, so. Or just enjoy a good chorus and there's a cool riff. It's also, you know what I mean, like you have to walk the line between being part rabble-rouser, part hooligan, partly intellectual, part poet, part everything. And some of the greatest as I said, the greatest Irish people that we look up to, they did these things. You know, the Brendan Beans or the Yates or the Oscar Wildes. They all had their, you know, foibles and contradictions. So you want to try and go through all of those things. You know, the full gamut of, or, you know, whatever. Or it's just a heavy metal show also. And there's like, oh, as a chorus, reminds me of Judas Priest. That's also all right. You know. I always thought, like, when I was a kid, if I got in a band, and I still think now, like, you look back to all the great 70s frontmen or 70s musicians, you know, like, I always thought to myself, I mean, you can't be Iggy Pop in 1972, but at least what you can do is when you stand on a stage, you can, you know, bring some sort of intensity and honesty to that performance. I never always really thought to myself, oh, I want to be black metal Bruce Dickinson, as some people said, or I never really thought about it too hard. It's just to bring a level of intensity to the things the first things I saw when I was a kid. You know, all the, you know, those live moments of Slayer and Venom and Merciful Fate and but also, you know, UFO and Thin Lizzy and you know, Bad Company or lots of 70s rock. I liked, you know, Sabbath, and you know, you're in your kid and you're watching, you know, a front man or something. And sometimes you don't have to do a lot to be, you know, captivating. So it's complicated. It's a very simple thing that you can overcomplicate in a sense, you know what I mean? But you know what it is. You go and see a band and you go, oh, fucking. That's what I just wanted to be one of those bands where you go and see it and you go, oh, they fucking mean it. You know, and as the years go by, the world gets so, the world is in such a very strange place that people almost assume that you don't mean it. You know what I mean? It's always it's like a badge of cool to not really. Everything is, you know, fucking smoke and mirrors and chicanery or something like this. The idea that you actually stand for something or mean something is, you know, passé in a world that doesn't give a fuck about anything. So, I don't know, you know. We are a band that only make an album every 4 or 5 years, 3 or 4. And it's weird because you see the way the industry has gone. It's making a record now, a long record. You see it's not a reason not to make it, but it's there's a lot to be said for throwing out some singles and, you know, moving. It's kind of like what you're doing is curating the museum for the last 5 or 10 years. You're kind of going, and here is the album from 2006 or 2000, and a new song kind of like is a reason to open the museum and go, here you go. And it also might be a great new song. But yeah, there's so much music out there now. It's hard to make it stick, I suppose. But you just do what you do. We'll see. It doesn't feel like it's over. But I made the album, call it that, just on purpose.
We thank you all. We are Primordial. We may return. We thank you very much. Thank you very much.